Imagine for a moment that the world's first computer program wasn't written by a gray-bearded engineer in a lab, poring over piles of metal cogs and steam-driven levers. Instead, picture a young woman in shimmering silk gowns, stepping down from her horse in the English countryside, her mind already racing through mathematical dreams. This was Ada Lovelace, the poet's daughter who saw beyond mere machinery, and alongside her, William King, a forward-thinking lawyer and salon host, who recognized in her not just a brilliant mind, but an equal partner in discovery. Today on Survive the Shows, we are going to breathe life into their story, tracing how their friendship in a candlelit 1830s salon gave birth to what we now call computer programming, and forever altered the course of human history. When Ada Byron was born in December 1815, the world already buzzed around her father's name, Lord Byron, the greatest poet of his age. But Ada's mother, Annabella Milbank, determined that her daughter would not be swept away by her father's tempestuous legacy. From the beginning, Annabella insisted on rigorous studies in mathematics and logic, a bold choice for a Victorian girl. While other children of her station learned needlework and music, Ada's small parlors echoed with lessons in algebra and geometry. She dissected mechanical toys to discover their hidden gears. She sketched early designs for flying machines, fueled by a restless imagination. By her teenage years, she was already weaving together poetic metaphors and scientific precision, writing that the analytical engine weaves algebraic patterns, just as the jacquard loom weaves flowers and leaves. Meanwhile, in the bustling world of London reform and intellectual salons, William King carved his own path. 10 years older than Ada, King was a lawyer with a passion for progress. He championed educational reform, arguing that women, no less than men, should explore the realms of science and philosophy. He hosted weekly gatherings in his elegant townhouse, salons where mathematicians, poets, engineers, and government officials debated the latest discoveries. These were not stuffy affairs but vibrant exchanges, candlelight flickering off leather-bound books, the air rich with tobacco smoke and the deeper smoke of ideas. Their worlds collided in the summer of 1835. Ada, now 19, had been invited to a seaside gathering in Newport, an informal retreat where conversations flowed as freely as the afternoon tea. William King, curious about this young woman with Byron's blood in her veins and her mother's analytical bent, struck up a conversation. According to letters preserved in private collections, the two quickly fell into a spirited debate over the nature of scientific creativity. Ada argued that calculation could be as expressive as poetry. King countered that without discipline and structure, imagination risked dissolving into fantasy. They parted that evening with mutual excitement and exchanged written invitations for Ada to attend King's next salon. Over the following months, Ada frequented King's gatherings, absorbing debates on thermodynamics, naval engineering, and the newest experiments with electricity. King, impressed by her insightful questions, introduced her to one of the most intriguing minds of the era, Charles Babbage, the English polymath who dreamed of a difference engine to automate mathematical tables. When Babbage revealed plans for his more ambitious analytical engine, a general-purpose computing machine, Ada's eyes shone with recognition. She saw not only gears and punch cards, but a universal machine that could manipulate symbols according to rules, creating patterns beyond human stamina. King played the gracious host as Ada pored over Babbage's notebooks. He loaned her advanced texts on calculus and mechanics, arranged private demonstrations of prototype cogs, and urged her to record her reflections. Encouraged by his support, Ada composed a series of notes to accompany an English translation she had undertaken of an Italian engineer's lecture on the analytical engine. Those notes, published in 1843, would contain what many scholars now recognize as the first computer program, an algorithm for calculating Bernoulli numbers. Imagine the thrill she must have felt, writing in her genteel hand. We may say most aptly that the analytical engine weaves algebraical patterns, just as the jacquard loom weaves flowers and leaves. And behind that phrase was King's steady confidence, reminding her that in science, as in art, new truths often emerge when disciplines collide. He championed her work in the all-male world of Victorian publishing, persuading the editor of Taylor's scientific memoirs to print her translation and notes under her own name rather than as an anonymous appendix. It was a small revolution at the time but a monumental one in retrospect. For Ada, the publication was both triumph and beginning. She wrote to King of her excitement, "I do not fear to think the engine might compose elaborate and scientific pieces of music of any degree of complexity or extent." King replied with typical warmth and wit, congratulating her on having shown the world that a woman may not only dance with the muses but also command the machines of the future. Their friendship deepened into a professional mentorship, each conversation sharpening Ada's vision of computing as more than calculation, a poetic symphony of numbers. But life and health intervened. Ada's delicate constitution, exacerbated by relentless work and the constraints of her era, forced her to withdraw from public life. King, though heartbroken, continued to advocate for her ideas, speaking of her algorithm in lectures on scientific progress. He lobbied for coeducational opportunities at the University of London and donated her original manuscripts to what would become the British Library, ensuring that her work would not be lost to time. As the century progressed, Babbage's machines remained unfinished curiosities, and Ada's programs lay dormant in libraries. The world moved on, enthralled by steam engines and telegraphs. Yet in the mid-20th century, as electronic computers emerged from the labs of Europe and America, a young programmer at Harvard stumbled upon Ada's 1843 notes. He recognized the ancestor of modern subroutines, loops, and conditional statements. Gate by gate, punch card by punch card, her algorithm took on new life in the era of ENIAC and UNIVAC. In 1969, the U.S. Department of Defense coined the term Ada for a structured programming language, honoring her role as the first programmer. Meanwhile, William King's salons had evolved into formal scientific societies, institutes promoting interdisciplinary research that he had always envisioned. On Ada Lovelace Day, celebrated every October, mathematicians, coders, and engineers worldwide commemorate her visionary mind. Women in STEM pledged to imagine like Ada and pursue curiosity across boundaries. King's early advocacy for women's education is now recognized as a foundational step in achieving gender equity in science. Their partnership, though it never blossomed into romance, endures in every line of code we write, every computer-generated simulation, every hello world uttered by a novice programmer. It reminds us that human connection, respect, and mutual encouragement can spark revolutions. Ada taught us to see the poetry in algorithms. King taught us to champion innovation wherever it appears, even in a drawing room debate or a candlelit salon. So what can we take from their story today? First, that creativity thrives when fields intersect. You never know where the next breakthrough might come from. Second, that mentorship and support can illuminate paths that might otherwise remain dark. And third, that no idea is too small to matter. A single note on a machine can echo across centuries. If you found yourselves moved by Ada Lovelace and William King's extraordinary friendship, and curious about how you might spark your own interdisciplinary insights, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to survive the shows for more untold tales of history's hidden partnerships. Ring that bell so you never miss an episode, and let me know in the comments which moment inspired you most. Ada's poetic vision of the analytical engine, the spark of their first conversation, or King's unwavering support in a world that refused to see a woman as a scientist. Thank you for joining me on this journey through candlelit salons and early computing dreams. If you enjoyed this story, please give the video a like and subscribe to survive the shows so you never miss our deep dives into history's most inspiring partnerships. Stay curious, stay collaborative, and remember, sometimes the future is written not by the expected pioneers, but by the poet's daughter and her champion. Until next time, keep surviving and thriving through the shows of history.